Hello, this is Brandykins, and welcome to another episode of the Terrorific Talk podcast. This is episode 4. In this episode, I speak with Jeffrey Jackson, the developer of the upcoming full-motion video game that will be released on Halloween, Damon 9. This episode does have some slight audio issues near the end. I just wanted you to be aware of that. So, without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Hello, everybody out there, and welcome to another exciting, fabulous episode of Terrorific Talk. And we have got another awesome episode tonight. I am interviewing a lovely, beautiful human to my right. I'm kind of backwards there because on my webcam. So to my right, by the name of Jeffrey Jackson. And he is the developer of a new upcoming full-motion video game called Damon 9. So hello, sir. Good evening to you.
Hello. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Great. Very excited about my upcoming launch. How many days now? 6 days, I think, till it is out there.
So
world.
So excited for this game. It only came into my purview actually about a week ago because someone retweeted it out, and I was like, wow, this looks interesting. Full motion video and horror. You had me at full motion video though. So we've been playing Skype tag for a while to try and get the date and the time figured out. So thank you for your patience as far as that goes, and thank you for coming on talking with me.
My pleasure.
All right, so let's just go ahead and jump right in and get started. I always start every podcast with this one question. Okay, why horror? I assume that you are a horror fan and a fan of all the creepy and the weird because you developed a game that has all that in there. So what is it about that this particular genre that makes you love it so much?
Oh, God, there's so many things. I think... And I wouldn't call myself a real die-hard horror fan.
Okay.
There's segments of horror where I don't really venture as a fan. I'm more of a fan of mainstream horror as well as other genres, but I just think horror provides such an essential, visceral experience sociologically. It's the same reason we, for better or worse, slow down to look at traffic accidents. You know, we need to look at things. We walk around our whole lives with this idea of our own mortality and that horrible things can and do happen to us. And we need to look at it and survive it. And you know, it's been scientifically proven that watching horror, going to a haunted house or something releases endorphins and gets your adrenaline flowing, and you come out on the other side of it feeling better in some strange way. So I think it's one of the few genres that provides that sort of essential human experience.
Oh, absolutely. I'm really interested in the psychological aspect that horror and scary things can provide. So are you saying you're more of a fan of that aspect of horror rather than just the gore and things like
Absolutely.
that?
I think sometimes the less you show, the more frightening it can be.
Interesting. I would tend to agree with you there. Psychological horror, okay, one of my favorites would have to be The Hitcher with Rutger Hauer and C. Thomas Howell. That is one of my favorites. Can you tell me one of your favorite movies in that vein?
Well, this is going really mainstream, but to me, one of the most disturbing movies ever made is Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
What do you like so much about it?
Just there's so many great moments where there's this feeling of dread, and it's just, I mean, the stuff with Hannibal Lecter is more kind of candy, but it's really the stuff with Buffalo Bill where he's got a girl imprisoned in a pit and he's stalking Jodie Foster in the dark in a house. I mean, that stuff's real, and it really gets to you. And I don't know, to me, there's things, even sometimes I used to, would watch Law and Order, SVU, and Sport Utility Vehicle. It was a lesser spin-off. But some of those episodes would give me nightmares. It'd have some 10-year-old girl trapped in a well and to torture, and I'm like, oh my God, this is network television. It's way more frightening than so-called horror movies now. And I always tell people, like, some people say, oh, I don't like horror. I don't like horror. I'm like, have you been watching Handmaid's Tale? They're like, oh, yeah. I'm like, that's a horror movie.
Yeah, there's so many different aspects to the horror genre. I think people automatically think, oh, blood, oh, gore, oh, slashers like Jason Voorhees and...
Yeah, now there's some that I love. Like, I don't know if you've been into any, like, the French horror films, the French, what do they call it, the new French realism, things like Martyrs and oh, God, I forget some of the titles, but they're intense. They're really gory and not for the faint of heart, but at the same time they're really gripping because there's no supernatural aspect to it at all. It's just human beings being really horrible to one another. And,
well,
so check that out, horror fans.
I haven't seen any of those, but I have watched that. I don't know if it's on Netflix anymore, but it's a French show called The Returned. And
I don't know. I gotta write that one down. The Return.
Yeah, The Returned. It's got 2 seasons. I've seen the first one. I haven't seen the second one. It's really interesting, and I won't spoil it for you.
Okay. Well, I'll check out that. You check out Martyrs. You can get that on Netflix too.
Martyrs. All right, gotcha. So we each like
gave each other. Subtitle. It's really intense.
Oh yeah, I never mind movies with subtitles. They don't bother me any. Okay. So people are just like, subtitles. It's like,
yeah, I gotta read? What?
Yeah, yuck. No, reading, please. Speaking of reading, any horror authors kind of tickle your fancy?
All the basics, King, Kuntz, but not. I haven't gone, and love, Lovecraft and classics like that. But I'm not as much of a fan of published horror as I am, visual horror, film and television.
Gotcha. All right, so let's see here. You said you're more of a fan of mainstream horror. Does that mean that you're a zombie fan? Yes or no?
I was not a fan of the zombie genre, but a couple of titles got me over the past bunch of years. Walking Dead, of course. World War Z. Only because one of the first times that zombies weren't just lumbering, slow-moving things. They were like fast-moving, formidable enemies. I watched, you watch Walking Dead, and I actually start feeling sorry for the zombies because, like, any 12-year-old girl with a butter knife could dismember one of them, and it's like they're just sitting ducks, the poor things. But Zombieland, a great fun kind of tongue-in-cheek zombie movie. Of course, I've seen all the George Romero movies, those classics, but the genre didn't really grip me until those titles came around.
Hey, so I noticed that the newer zombies versus the older zombies, they're set more in environments where it's really more about the people being the absolute threat rather than the zombies. Of course, that's
the whole thing of Walking Dead. It's the zombies are the least of everyone's worries, right?
Yes. I mean, you can predict what they're going to do. It's people like the governor and Negan that you have to watch out for.
Yeah, those guys are.
No.
Negan scared the crap out of me.
Geez, yes. Show Negan was really good. Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Oh, yeah.
I loved him. Okay, so we kind of talked about what your favorite horror movie is. Who's your favorite horror villain?
Wow. If you talk about the classic villains, like the Jasons, the Freddys, I'd probably say Hannibal Lecter. He's just great. And that's a lame answer. Let me think about that one. Come up with something more interesting.
No, that's actually a really good answer. Just like, I like the way that Anthony Hopkins played him. And then whenever you look it up, I think he was only in movies like maybe about 2 hours. He was only in there for about 16 minutes. So I was like,
oh, yeah.
It seems like he's in there for a lot longer than that because his presence is so
memorable. And actually, one of my guilty pleasures is the sequel, Hannibal, with Julianne Moore.
Oh, no. Please don't say that.
No, it's great. He eats Ray Liotta's brain in front of him. It's fantastic.
Okay, now that part was taken like strictly from the book. It's just like I don't know. It's just I've read like all.
I know it doesn't live up to. I mean, Silence of the Lambs was an Oscar-winning movie, but that's what I say. It's a guilty pleasure. It's one of those things that every time it's on cable, which seems like every day, I gotta like stop and watch it wherever it picks it up.
I read all of the books, and compared to the book, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I
No, you're
compared
right.
to.
The book was far better, but
Yeah.
anyway.
Okay, I guess I can forgive you. Like we all have our
Thanks.
guilty
Thanks.
pleasures.
I'll strike one. I'll try not to.
Yeah, Red Dragon wasn't too bad, and Hannibal Rising was okay too. They weren't too terrible.
Yeah, yeah. I think it was getting a little played out, like a lot of franchises by that point. But
Right. I mean, they based them on the books, but
although
so you
anything
know.
that written in it is okay with me. So
Yeah. So yeah, they knew like when to stop. They weren't making like 10 Hannibal movies like
right.
they seem to do with like horror. Just seems to be a very franchised genre, and it's a shame.
Mm.
Cause let's see. Oh, have you seen the new Halloween?
I have not seen it yet.
Ooh,
I'm not. Probably gonna go see it this weekend.
you need to.
Yeah.
It's a direct sequel to John Carpenter's 1978 Halloween. So
Mm-hmm.
all the other ones, the terrible ones like Halloween 2 and Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, and all those other ones, it completely
Yeah.
ignores those.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes.
That's cool.
So
It's just great that they got Jamie Lee Curtis back to play her older self.
I know she was really good.
Yeah,
And
cool.
they even got the original guy who played Michael Myers, The Shape.
Oh, really?
Yes, they
Oh,
did.
wow. That's great. You
So,
know, he did his own score for that when he made it in 1978.
yep, and they got John Carpenter back to do the score with his son Cody for this film.
Cool.
So,
Cool.
so,
All right.
so if you like the score in the first one, you'll definitely like the score in this one. Okay, so let's get into games. All right. So, this game that you've worked tirelessly on to get out there, and it's coming out now in 6 days. You're releasing it on Halloween. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I guess it's 5 days from now.
So, but
It's like 5 days.
yeah, I can't count. So, math's not my strong point. But is this game like the first game you've ever developed? Like ever?
Yes, it is.
Wow. So
Yeah, this is the second iteration of it. Last year, I released a version of it that was web-based only, and people really loved it. The small audience that I managed to find it, but I just couldn't reach a large enough audience, and so I spent the intervening year adapting it for Steam. So that's where we're releasing it on the Steam platform on Wednesday, which I have high hopes for.
all right. How did this idea come about? Was it something that you just had kicking around in your head for a while, or was it just like a random bolt of lightning, like aha?
It was kicking around for a while. I mean, my background is as a filmmaker first, and but I also had a career as a graphic designer and did web development. So I just always saw this way of telling a story that was truly a hybrid, that took a linear story and kind of carved it up into segments that are separated across websites and across different media that you kind of have to find your way through, like following a trail of breadcrumbs. So you kind of get sucked into the story and kind of become a character in it. So I always say Damon 9, it takes place in your world, in reality, because there's no portal that you're looking through. You're not walking through any space. Nothing's coming at you. You're not shooting at anything. There's no 3D walkthrough or anything like that. It's just you're discovering a story with found footage and having to piece it together. But then you find the more you do, the more you're getting involved in the story.
Oh, I noticed that a commonality between the people that I've interviewed that have been developers of full motion video games is that they've had some sort of background in film, or they just love film, or they appreciate film. So it seems to be like the commonality Just among like that.
Yeah, it seems to
Exactly.
make sense. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how you could approach. I mean, you'd have to partner with a filmmaker, I think, at the very least. And I know, one of the knock on a lot of full motion video games is that the acting and the writing isn't quite so great. But I'm very proud of the acting. I had a great cast. There's a lot of touches of reality in it. You get a sense of real characters and relationships. There's some humor in it. There's some lightness to go with the dark, which I think is always essential. Uh, and Yeah, so I think I was able to really successfully draw on my filmmaking experience in creating Damon now.
That is just so cool to hear. Just and the script now for this game, did you write it as well, or did
I
some?
did.
Okay. Oh, all right. And about how long did that take? Like the whole project from start to finish, from when you conceived it to when you wrote it to now.
It kind of went in fits and starts because I kept getting interrupted by other projects. So like I conceived of it, and then it kind of sat on the back burner, gestating somewhere in my mind. And then like in a frenzy over the space of a couple of months, I finished the script, cast it, shot it, and then other things kind of interrupted before I got into post production. I moved across the country. And I was doing a lot of it pretty much single handedly. I'd bring in a few specialists here and there for, like, say, audio effects or a visual effect. But because I didn't really know what I was creating, I sort of had to experiment a lot as I went. So even if I had brought in this big team of developers and designers, I wouldn't even know what to ask them to do, because it wasn't until I got into it, I said, "Oh, all right, here's how I can see how the dots connect and how the pieces fit together."
Yeah, like I want to do that thing. Yeah, show me how to do that thing.
Yeah, but I mean, because if you like making a movie is a huge undertaking, but everyone pretty much knows the drill on how to make a 90 or 120-minute movie. You shoot it, you cut it together, and you go through the process. This was kind of like I didn't have any model to follow, so it took a lot of experimentation along the way.
Hmm. So when you say you didn't have any model to follow, I take it that you didn't know much about full motion video games, or am I way off base here?
No, you're right. You're right. I kind of wandered into it from the filmmaking side, and I know now there's a lot of full motion
Yeah.
video games, and there were back in the even early as the 1990s, but nothing seemed to be quite like what I wanted to do. So, and like I said, there was nothing that I wanted to do in terms. There's a lot of elements in addition to the full motion video segments. So those were the part where it took experimentation.
Oh, okay. So the filming aspect was just like that was cool, but then like the other stuff that was
Yeah, all the connective tissue that I don't want to give anything away about how the game is played, but
right.
you sort of have to you find your way through it, and it's there's a lot of uh, puzzle solving, not puzzles in the traditional diner placemat way, but just things you got to figure out, in order to know where to look next to get the next segment and
Okay.
get the next part of the story. And some of it takes you out to the web. Sometimes you got to do a clever Google search or something like that. And so it's
Oh.
a lot of, and the original version of the game, the web-based version from last year, there was an aspect of it where the characters actually communicated with you via text and email. So
Ooh.
if you went to a certain point in the story, you might get a communication from a certain character. I couldn't do that this time because I couldn't, I think it turned a lot of people off because people were afraid of getting spammed and security issues, and that's understandable.
Oh.
So there's a little smattering of that in this version. So it's in some ways it's a little more traditional. But that was part of what, when I say like I was trying to figure out things, but there didn't seem to be a model for, it was more stuff like that because the game wasn't contained as this one thing. It was spread across like, you know, 15 different websites and had to interact with each other and keep track of where you were in the game so it would know what to show you next.
Man, that's that's an interesting aspect. Wow,
It
I
was
wish.
cool. Unfortunately, that's not part of this, but in some ways, I think this version got better because I think the story got tighter. Um, it's the same story. I took the same assets, the same content, but kind of reconfigured it and represented it in a different premise. And in some ways, a lot of things that I was always that I wasn't as pleased with, all of a sudden tightened up and came together. So I think now that I guess what I'm saying is I finally got with it and did it the way the rest of the world's doing it instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, and it makes a little more sense now.
Oh, right. That so sounds. I wonder why I like never. I wish I would have heard of it like back when it was in its infant stages, because it'd been something I'd like to play around with.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think, and that may come back at some point. So let's see how this does.
Mmm. Well,
I
I'm
can
definitely.
follow the audience with this. Who
Yeah.
knows?
So, hey, I'm definitely excited about it. And like I said, I only just heard about it a week ago. It's just like, I wish I'd heard about this a lot sooner because the concept just seems so interesting. There's the story behind it, like from what I know about it. But let me kind of ask this question first. I've always felt that full motion video is one of the best ways to get a horror game across, because it's a way that you can communicate not only emotions, but it's a way to get the player in the game, and a way to, what's the word I'm looking for? That kind of get you into the atmosphere. So, do you agree kind of that full motion video like was the best choice like for this game and is the best medium to present a horror game in?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm sure there's lots of great. I know there's great horror games that don't use full motion video, but you're trying to connect with that visceral emotion and real imagery. I mean, we're so sophisticated. We see so much imagery, no matter how advanced and lushly developed graphic environments are. We just know that's not real, you know. And the reality of seeing real people that are in situations, and their reactions to things. I think that's where the full motion video does things that you just can't do graphically.
I would definitely agree with you there, just 100%, because as you're seeing the real people, just the real characters that are in the game. Any jump scares?
There's a couple, but I don't
Okay.
gratuitously. I know they're, that's cheap.
No.
But you want a little of that, but I don't rely on it. No, I think the real. Well, I'll let players decide where the real scares come from, but I think it's from getting involved, getting sucked in deeper and deeper into a very intricate web of this story, and it is really rich and deep. It's not just one thing on the surface. As you start exploring these different websites that you go out to, and you find out there's a lot to this story, and that's part of the objective of the game, to understand just what the hell is going on.
I'm already excited. Just the more I hear about it, it's just like I can't wait to play this game. Ah!
Cool. Well, 5 days. Damon 9.
5 days. Okay, so without spoiling anything, because I don't want to know anything, and I'm sure you don't want to give anything like too major away. So tell us a little bit. Give us a non-spoiler summary of what's going on with Demon 9.
Sure. Yeah. Well, when you first launch the game, you realize you're being asked for help to solve a mystery. A young man is searching for the truth behind a murder. One of his classmates and friends in college was murdered, and another one has disappeared. And in the more he's investigated it, the more some weird stuff has started to happen to him. And he's trying to basically crowdsource it. So he's saying, if you can help me make some sense out of this, And so basically, he's giving you a backup of his hard drive. He's on the run. And so you're basically sifting through every file he has on this. And some of it's found footage, some of it's documents he's uncovered, some of it are bookmarks that link you out to the web. And you find out as you get to know the two principal characters, these two girls, one who was murdered and the one who was her best friend, who was actually suspected of her murder and who has disappeared. And you're trying to figure out what happened, why it happened, where is this girl who's missing, and how is it possible that she can be saved? And the more you dig in, you find out that some pretty strange stuff is going on. And now the more you dig in, the more you are vulnerable to the same things.
Woo! This has got like a real detective element behind it, where the player is the detective.
Yeah, it does. But it's not something you're just sitting passively on the outside of. It's something that starts involving and enveloping you.
That's cool. So it's not like linear, where it's like find this clue and then find this clue and then go to this place.
It's really non-linear. Everyone will go through it in a different sequence of events.
Oh, did you say everyone will go through a different sequence of events?
Yeah.
Oh, so like, does that mean that if my playthrough might be in a different order, or I might have a different experience as someone else?
Yeah, I liken it to if you were to go into a let's say you went through some sort of exhibit or a museum. We'd wander through and we could split up and go to different rooms, and you might look at some things and I might look at different things. It's all the same stuff, but we come out on the other end having had different experiences.
Okay.
So, or a haunted house where you're allowed to just.
For this game, this just sounds so great. I'm gonna let everyone that I know about it, let everyone that I know about it. Speak words, Brandy. Come on.
Great, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so let me also ask you this: was there any particular inspiration behind Demon 9? Because I know you said that you like things like psychological, Law and Order SUV for vehicles. So, was there any particular inspiration for this project?
No one thing that I can point to. I think it just, we all collect the little bits and pieces of what affects us in our mind. So I think it's just a little bit of everything. It's got a lot of classic elements. Young people in peril that you're seeing go through some horrific stuff. So it's no, I can't point to one thing, but a lot of different things.
You're putting those young people through hell.
Oh yeah, they had it coming.
Yeah, you're a terrible person. No, from what I've been talking with you so far, you seem like a very nice person.
I am a nice person. Who knows why? Everyone who likes horror is a nice person, right? It's just, who knows what connect to that dark side of things.
Yeah, you just have to wonder that. It's like, you're so nice and you like horror? It's just like,
oh,
come on.
But I don't know. Everything I like, I like, whether it's even music or plays or whatever, and if anything connects with a darker part of the human mind, I definitely, I'm always there. Like, I'm a fan. So.
Yeah, I would get these looks whenever I said that my favorite genre is rock, and they'd be like, "Are you serious?" Like, yes. What? Like, you don't look like someone that would listen to rock. It's like, what am I supposed to look like?
Yeah, exactly. I think they expect people coming out of horror movies to be like zombies themselves or something, or.
It's like, come on. Speaking of music, I see you've got a guitar back there behind you, so I assume you're a bit of a musician yourself?
I do. It's just serial/amateur, but yeah, I play a lot.
Ooh, what's your favorite type of music to play?
Like classic rock, dinosaur rock, you know.
Dinosaur or Paleozoic
Yes,
era rock?
70s and 80s, stuff like that.
And well, some of my favorite music came from the 80s.
Yeah.
So, just I don't consider it dinosaur or Paleozoic. I even like some stuff from the 70s.
Yeah. Well, it's great. It's great stuff. It's timeless.
Yes, 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 yes. I tend to go off on weird tangents. Or like, hey, let's talk about the games. Like that. Ooh, I see that. Like, what's that behind you?
Oh,
So
that's
it's like,
great.
I just wanted it to like go wherever it ends up taking us. I'm trying to like think of. Okay, so let's kind of pause for a second. Does anybody have any questions so far for our lovely gentleman here sitting to my right on screen? Oh, someone has a question. Yeah, okay. Silver, what is your question? Oh, so he says, why the name? So what's the story behind the name of the game, Demon 9?
Well, you'll find that out if you play. And that's part of the mystery, is finding out what Damon 9 is. And just for the people who are computer inclined, there is such a thing as a daemon, and it's a small computer program that runs on its own in the background on a server, or it could run on a desktop computer as well, but they're employed to do little tasks, little robotic-like tasks, and there's millions of them that work every day in the background that we don't see or care about, but that might have something to do with it.
Okay, so Silver, your question got answered, and yet it didn't get answered. Does anybody else have any questions? Okay, I'm trying to think here. I was just like, I've kind of blanked out here for a second. This has just not been my day. I had audio issues before we even got started, and also webcam issues, so I was freaking out before this even started. I was like, oh my god, I got a podcast in 15 minutes, I gotta get this figured out.
Well, let me take the opportunity to do a little pitching and remind everyone that it'll be on Steam on Halloween, starting on Halloween. The first week there is a launch week discount of 40%. So what would ordinarily cost $9.99 costs only $5.99 for that first week. And also, there's an opportunity if you get stuck inside the game to get clues and hints, and that's free. And there are a lot of games charge for that, but there's a menu in the website in the game that takes you out to our website for the game and gives you an opportunity to unstick yourself if you get stuck someplace in the story.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
So now.
Want people to experience the whole thing and don't want to yeah.
So
maybe someday we'll charge for clues and hints, but right now we're not.
I would not know. Like, if the day that people start charging for clues and hints is the day I'm like, I'm out.
That happens a lot, doesn't it? I've experienced that in games.
That's bizarre. I don't think I ever have.
Oh, okay.
Not in-game not currency. Not.
I don't know, you went out and maybe you paid $1 for an answer guide or something like that. I don't know, but yeah. So anyway, so it's that's part of the game too. So you don't have to worry about getting lost in the story too much.
Yay! Free hints.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely will probably be needing them because, especially when it comes to puzzles or certain areas of the game, I can get frustrated. So I don't want to be like, that's it, I quit. I want to be able to figure out and go through it.
Well, every good puzzle, to me, there's a sweet spot to it, and that's where if it's too easy, that's not fun.
Right.
If it's so hard that when you find out the answer, even if you look up a hint and you find the answer, you go, oh my God, how could I ever have known that? That's no good either.
Yeah.
So you want it to be just so it's challenging, so that even if you don't get it, and then you look up the answer, you go, geez, it was right there in front of me the whole time,
Duh.
Yeah. So hopefully that's what we strove for.
Good. So it's not like this game that I played that was for the PS1. It was called Dracula: The Last Sanctuary. That game had so many puzzles that you could not get past without having to look up. Well, actually, this was early 2000s, so I had to print off a walkthrough just to be able to get through the game.
Yeah, I know. I've done one. I played something. I think it was on Steam, and it took you out to the web, but you actually had to look in the source code of the page, and there would be a clue buried in the comments or something. It's like, so many people don't even know that there is source code that you can look at on a web page, and it's like, I thought that was cheating a little bit.
Hey, what was it? The Black Watchman? That sounds familiar.
Oh yes, I think it was Black Watchman. Yeah.
That game is fun, but oh my gosh, you need like not only me, but also like a team behind me, like looking stuff up for me.
Yeah, it was hard. I ended up like Googling answers and going on chat rooms like, oh, anyone know how to do this? And like, yeah, okay, no. But I thought there was a couple of them. You did too, yeah. Yes. I think there was a couple on there that I was like, oh, come on, give me a break. There's no way I could possibly have known that.
It's like, Google this, and then Google that, and then like Google the thing you just Googled, and then Google it again.
Yeah, no, hopefully Damon Nunn doesn't do that to you too much.
Oh, jeez, yeah. I hope not. My goal is to like get scared by your game, not cry. That's
a headache.
Yeah, it's just like, I hate things like that. But all right, oh, someone else had a question. So playthrough, how longish do you think the game lasts? So about how long is the game, like from start to finish? And was there a reason if you chose to keep it that long?
Well, I'm in version 1 that was strictly web-based. I had people who must have been like done this all the time that blew through it inside of like half a day, and then I had people that never got through it. I would say it should take you. I would say gameplay might last about a week or so as you keep, if you keep at it. And if you were to take all the footage, if you get to and manage to see everything, it's probably the length of like a feature film, an average horror, probably 100 to 110 minutes of content, of filmed content. So there's a lot there. There's a lot to discover. I think you get a lot for your money.
I would say, considering it's 40% off the first week. My goodness.
Oh.
I never heard of a game with that big of a discount before, at least not in recent memory.
Well, you get to people with so.
So it says you're breaking up a bit. Conk, work!
Uh-oh. You're fine, I see you.
Yep. Yeah, kind of garbly. Okay, let's wait for a second.
Damn those interwebs.
It's evil. The source code in there is trying to kill us.
Damon 9.
Yeah, there. See, it knows. It knows.
It might.
Yeah, dun dun dun. Yes, people, this is a podcast, and I am a professional. Not really. I have no idea what I'm doing half the time.
I see you got a green screen behind you. You must do some fun stuff with that.
Yes, I do. It's whenever I live stream, I always end up having like weird horror things and weird little like gifs going on behind me, and it's just like it's fun.
I think I got the same kit. I recognize the color of the fabric and the stand.
Yeah, it came with the green, it came with the white, and it came with the black. But it's like I never used the white or the black. It's just like, why did you even give me this? Uh-oh. I think I lost you. Oh no! Your connection is poor? Oh, what the heck?
Oh.
That's weird. Yay! No, I think Damon 9 doesn't want us talking about it anymore.
Maybe that's it. Can you hear me at all?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's just...
You can't see me, okay.
You're like very garbled. Oh no.
I don't know. I just upgraded to high-speed internet where I am, so I should be.
Yeah, my internet's okay too, but it doesn't mean that it works half the time.
Yeah, well, we could just be getting some high traffic at this moment or something.
Yeah. Oh, what? Da, da, da. Oh, okay. So, did anybody else have any other questions for our lovely gentleman here? So, we know when it's coming out. We know that there's a discount. We know that we don't know the thing behind the name yet. We have to figure out for ourselves. So, we know we get about a week of awesome gameplay. Another question. The last horror game you played and or finished?
Well, this wasn't a horror game per se, but I got really into Her Story.
Oh, yes, I played that.
Yeah, I thought there's something really cool and minimalistic about it. Um, God, I did do the shape shifting detective. I don't know if you consider that horror. Um, ah, God, I can't think of one right now. I've done so many of them. Oh, I'm drawing a blank. I hate when I do that.
No, it's okay. I do that like half the
I'll
time.
come back to my favorite film villain.
Yeah, okay, let's circle back around to that. So, something other than Hannibal Lecter, I guess, which you considered an easy answer.
Yeah, I still don't have a better answer, but it's on my list of things to come up with.
No, it's just like today more than others, I've just been blanking out, and I have no idea why. I'm surprised that I'm even able to ramble for this long. Whoop. Oh,
Am I still connected?
Yeah, barely. It looks like we're hanging on by a thread here.
Oh man.
Oh no. Like I'm gonna just say it's like Damon 9. That's the excuse that we're gonna use. Aw. So, can you guys see and hear? Is the game going to be stream friendly? Oh, okay. Someone wants to know if the game's going to be stream friendly, so streamer friendly.
Um, yeah, sure. There's no reason why it wouldn't be. I mean, you do, you know, I'd say about a little better than half the game is self-contained in the app that you end up downloading, and then there's content out on the web. But yeah, it's not. There's no real. If you're talking about like bandwidth concerns or things like that, um, yeah, totally.
All right. So then I'll know exactly like how to stream it whenever I play it when it comes out on Halloween. That I'll have to have a display capture since there's internet elements to it as well.
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna need you need an internet connection to get the most out of it. There's a lot you can, like I said, about half of it you can do within the game itself, self-contained, but then you know there's stuff that you got to go out to the web for.
All right.
Which people have mixed feelings about on Steam, but I've seen some great games like that, and I think it just enhances the experience.
Oh, absolutely, because it gives it further like adds to the immersion because you're actually going out there and searching stuff.
Yeah, yeah, it's cool.
All right, so. Okay. Oh, I remember an obscure horror game being like that. Silver, are you thinking of the Black Watchman?
Black Watchman was one of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Trying to think of what else. I don't. Simulacra was another game that was kind of like that. I don't know if you've heard of that one, Simulacra.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played through it. It was okay. I can kind of tell it's more like for the younger crowd. And I'm like an old fart. It's like yelling at people, get off my lawn. I'm trying to remember also the last horror game that I played, like through to completion. I'm trying to remember here. Now I'm having a brain fart. Now I'm drawing a blank. Oh, God. I don't remember. I do know some of my favorite horror games. If you haven't played them, then here's some recommendations. Outlast. Soma is another one. If you really like the psychological aspect of things, Soma is a great game.
Soma's great. Yes, I played Soma. Yeah.
Oh, yay! And if you are a fan of the Alien franchise, Alien Isolation's another one.
I've looked at it, or I have not played it though.
Oh, you need to. Like the alien, the xenomorph AI, it's not linear. It's like you can't like really predict its patterns. It's unpredictable, and that's what makes it so scary. Because the alien, like if you were in the if he was in one place last time, he might not be in the same place this time, or he might like completely sneak up behind you and impale you.
Cool.
It's awesome. And Dead Space, if you haven't played that.
I have not.
You've never played Dead Space?
No, I have.
Oh, that's something
I
that
think this Damon 9.
Yeah, my whole life has been Demon 9. Like, what in the world are you talking about, Brandy? You think I have time to play games? I'm making one. Oh, Silver's like, oh, you gotta play Dead Space. Like, well, maybe now after, since his game's going to be released in 5 days, and he'll have more free time on his hands, hopefully, because he'll find some time to unwind a little bit.
How about, have you played, what's it called? Secret of Mystery House.
I haven't heard of that. Is it on Steam?
I'm not sure if I found that one on Steam or some other platform, but it's really cool. It's a spatial thing, but it's just got a lot of great design elements and storytelling elements to it. So that's what I appreciate.
Okay, so what's the name of that game again?
Secret of Mystery House.
Secret of Mystery
House. It's kind of a lame title, but it's a cool. Oh. It's like a haunted house metaphor, but it's yeah, it's pretty cool.
All right, gotta type that down before I forget. And then that Netflix thing you recommended to me earlier too. Because
all horror fans must see Martyrs.
Okay, hear that recommendation. All horror fans must see Martyrs. All right, so I guess now let's go ahead and start wrapping things up. And now for those who had just come in or didn't have a chance to hear you whenever you did your self-promotion, talk a little bit more about when the game's being released, and where it can be found, and how much it is.
Okay, the name of the title is Damon 9, Daemon 9, numeral 9. And it is being released on Steam on Halloween Day, I guess like 12:01 a.m. on Halloween. Technically, you can start downloading it. And the regular price is only $9.99, and the first week, so that's the 31st through the 2nd, the 6th, it will be 40% off. So only $5.99. What do you got to lose? $6. What are you gonna do with $6? You can't get into a movie for $6. You know, you got it. So, and it's just a great psychological thriller. Interactive movie, really, is a way to think of it. And I think it's really unique.
And whereabouts can people find you on social media?
On social media, Damon9 has a Facebook page. Damon9 has a Twitter feed. It's Damon _ the word 9 written out, N-I-N-E. And you can look for the same title on YouTube as well. All
right, so Damon 9 and Damon 9 and Damon 9. So you've made it easy on everybody to find out where you are.
Yes.
So thank you for that.
Yeah, and there's information there's a website, damon9.com, also, DAEMON9.com, and you can see reviews of the first version, user reviews, a trailer, there's an official trailer, which you can also see on Steam, so there's cool stuff there as well.
Awesome. Well, alas, like time flies, and I said I would love to stand here. I'm not standing, I'm sitting. I would love to sit here and talk to you for hours and hours and hours, but alas, all good things must come to an end. I know. Oh.
Okay.
Okay. Just like, yeah, it's just like, aw.
This has been great.
Yeah, he's sad, guys.
I love the podcast.
I'm so glad that you had a good time. And I'm glad that you came on my podcast to talk with me, as rambling and jumping and all over the place like as it was tonight.
That's okay. Yeah. It's been terrific.
Oh, I'm so glad. It's just like I said, it was so great to talk with you. Thank you so much for coming on and talking with me tonight. Thank you
for all your loyal fans for their questions. I hope I gave good answers. And I hope everyone will check out Damon 9.
Yeah. Did he give good answers, guys? Do you think so?
Maybe.
Yay! I think you did. So, yes, guys, check out his game. Buy it first week, 40% off, $6. Play it, and then play it some more. But again, yes. Yes.
It's an indie game, so it doesn't get much more indie than this. No big publisher money behind this. So if you want to promote and support indie games, this is a great opportunity to do it.
Some of the best horror games out there are indie. So
absolutely, and films.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so I hate to say goodbye.
Okay. Hey, is this Chief here? Or are you over there?
Like, exit, stage left, but you have yourself a great night.
Thank you, Brandy.
Bye.
Bye.